they're coming. They're inevitable. I feel like this is strategic in terms of longevity of East Cleveland. And I vigorously went to multiple meetings, asked millions of questions. I made it my business to inquire about this legislation over and over and over. I feel like sometimes when you're stagnant, that's not always a good thing. But when you go too fast, that's not always a good thing as well. I seen something on a commercial, and it said, it's not how fast you go, it's how well you go fast. And I love that quote, because we have to move fast to be able to tackle this thing. We have to, because this deficit is coming, as I said before. The dumping ordinance, we will revisit that. It came up one time, but I think anything up under 1,000 pounds is still considered littering. So we had to revisit that to kind of revamp it a little bit, to catch it and to give people some consequences for this quote-unquote littering, but we're trying to make it dumping. Someone drops a couch that's 600 pounds, it would only be considered littering. So we're trying to fix some things up in terms of dumping. Mr. Smith, I didn't revisit the situation about the cats, but I will, now that you brought it up. I know it's kind of a twofold scale, because some people like cats in different neighborhoods in East Cleveland because they say they get rid of the mice and the rats and things of that nature.
There's a lot more in that.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I will revisit it, though. Now that you brought it up, I will revisit it. I walked the neighborhood, the Forest Hill area, considered like one of the affluent areas of East Cleveland. Interestingly enough, a lot of the people up there said they don't want to be separated or considered any different than the residents from down the hill. And I thought that was just a good sign, because we need solidarity amongst each other if we want to tackle this thing, if we want East Cleveland to thrive. I feel like we're getting better and more professional in our meetings. That's a great thing. And like I said before, we need solidarity. We need to bridge this gap between administration and the people. And I feel like we're taking strides. We're moving in progress. I thank you guys for it, and I thank the members of council and mayor for that as well. That's pretty much all I have. I love East Cleveland. Thank you.
Members of the public, I rise to speak. First, I want to speak to the Arlene LeBon. At our last meeting, it came up, and I spoke with the clerk about putting together something, but she's out of town, so we weren't able to get it in time, but we were aware of the situation. So I wanted to share that and still offer condolences to the family. Now I want you to exercise, let me say this while I'm looking at this guy in front of me, Joe Little. I did attend the Survivors of Victims of Crime. I've listened to the panel discussion. You had a great panel. I want to thank you for giving back to the community, and the Rude Boys in the concert was very nice. Thank you. Thank you. The potholes, which I've been speaking about for the last 4 or 5 months. Now here's how I see it, and I want you to exercise some common sense. If you buy 3 brand new cars, and we never did get a report on the asset forfeiture, so we don't know what's over in this building over there, but it's hard to get something unless the mayor said, well, you would do whatever the case may be.
Take them to court.
When it became a controversy around the cars, we hardly couldn't get the chief to come, but when the mayor called him, he came. But here's the deal. If you buy brand new cars and you're traveling, dealing with crime, 40, 50 miles per hour down Euclid or whatever the case may be, it's down our side streets too because the crime happens there, you're going to tear those cars up. At the last meeting I attended, I showed hubcaps. I brought one, I had about 4 or 5 that I picked off the street, Joey Graham, where they're tearing up their cars. This is all over the place. So you buy the brand new cars. Let's use some common sense with our grandmother's taught us. You buy the brand new cars, and they flying up the street, they tearing up the steering rods and all like that. It doesn't make any sense. When I go through other cities, they have potholes. They have them, but not to the capacity that we have.
That's right.
We've got, that's why it was the priority. But I was told, well, I'm the chief executive, and this is what I want to do. So that's how it went down. That's exactly how it went down. All right? So when you ride through the city and you tear up your front end or get a flat tire, I've got 3 of them already, take that under consideration. And lastly, I'm going to say briefly about this case pending. Eugene Johnson, Derek Wheat, and Laurice Glover. The issue, and they got a new trial, and the issue culminated around suppression of evidence. Their right to a fair trial was denied. The prosecutor's misconduct. And this is public information. Carmen Marino had information that could have freed these young men. They've been in over 10 years. 20. It's a sad situation. It's a sad situation on us. And not, the police didn't do real bad, but he called them and told them not to give up a report. It was the responsibility of the police to consult the law director as to what was done. It's in the report. I read it thoroughly twice. So those young men, and this is the settlement, and we haven't discussed it, and we will. Those young men spent 20 years for a crime they didn't commit. 3 of our young men. I can read some sections that I underlined where it says, during the hearing, the court received testimonial evidence from 2 attorneys involved in the original trial and the documentary evidence, including a letter sent by First Assistant Prosecutor Carmen Marino to Sergeant Dunn of the East Cleveland Police Department, ordering the department to conceal any and all police reports and other information related to the homicide investigation which resulted in the conviction. But to make a long story short, that was part of the problem. But Carmen Marino was the major part of the problem because he was hiding evidence and he was the prosecutor. So when you look at this, and this is my opinion, when you look at this situation, I don't think we should pay anything. I think the prosecutor, I think the county prosecutor should cover all the costs on this. Okay? This is how I see it. Now, can we get them young men in 20 years back? No. This document talks about the people who witnessed it, and it was all confirmed. And it was about 3, this is thick, but there's 2 other sections to this, and it tells how they suppressed the evidence, discovery, all the legal stuff that you could, it was done wrong. And these young men were incarcerated for almost 20 years. So I think they should get more than what they're asking. But we've got to do better. Somebody said, I think Art McCoy talked about our police. When they don't do it right, it costs us. Okay? Why have a law department, when Carmen Marino called and said, hold this, they should have called our law person and said, can we do that? But the document said they can't. So, help us. And lastly, there's an election coming up for the mayor, September.
It's a primary.
That's the primary. This is a Democratic city, so usually the one that wins the primary goes forward, even though there's 2 Republicans on there. But you've got to